So we're going to kick things off in a couple of minutes. Just let everyone who's sort of finishing up their calls or their meetings to jump on. So yeah, the chat should be open. Please just put a quick intro into who you are and where you're dialing in from. That would be great. Oh wow, it is filling up quick. Thanks,
That's
guys.
good.
Just to say as well, the chat is there for you to pop any questions in during the webinar. So if you've got a question for me, which is highly unlikely, based on we've got the absolute expert here. If you've got a question for Shane, please do drop it in the chat. If it's quite a poignant question to what he's talking about at the time, I'll try and get it over to him there and then. But we'll also do a live Q&A towards the end. So hopefully we'll get through all those questions. So
I've got a question for you.
I'll go on.
What's your win of the week this week?
Win of the week.
It can be as small as going to the gym. It can be anything.
I love that. So yesterday, and Samantha's on the audience, so she'll be putting her thumbs up in the air. Roma Finance put on a sort of lunchtime event for some business leaders in property to go and network, and I was lucky enough to sort of have a 5-minute slot to introduce UK Homes Network. And I'm trying to get more into public speaking, and it was I managed to sort of keep it composed and not do my when I go to TDN and I have to do that 2-minute stand-up thing, my heart starts racing as it comes around the room because I know it's coming to me next. So I think TDN's coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll be a lot more confident and comfortable with it because I'm getting out there and speaking a little bit more. Anyway,
well, that's a good win. That's a good win. And to be honest, obviously, I do a lot of public speaking stuff, and I still get nervous. So it's really natural. Like my heart still races those few minutes before I start talking at an event.
Yeah. I think the one thing that I'd love to be able to do is make eye contact when I'm speaking, because I literally look at the floor or look at the wherever so that I don't have to make eye contact with people. And when you're trying to pitch your business, doesn't convey the best form of trust when you can't look them in the eye because you're but yeah. Anyway, Shane, what's your win of the week?
I've finished my 32 at 32, which was 32 lessons I've learned in 32 years I've been alive, and I finished that yesterday. So I posted every single day for 32 days, and on the back of that, I'm going to publish a book, and that's nearly finished as well. And I designed the cover last night. Spent until 11 p.m. last night designing the cover. So that's going to come out hopefully before December if we can get it all finalised and checked over.
Incredible. Can you reveal the title of the book?
32 at 32.
Oh, amazing. So the social media series you've done recently is based on the book.
So I've done it, and then halfway through I was like, I'm going to do a book about this. Basically, it's got simple lessons, big impact. 32 at 32. Forget the degree. Here are the lessons life taught me instead.
Wow.
That's what it's called.
Well, you've got your first reader. I'll be definitely getting that. So
Thanks so much.
Great.
Brilliant.
All right, guys,
Cool.
shall we crack on? Thank you to everyone that's been able to join us today. We're just going to jump into a quick bit of housekeeping before we get going. I know you're all sort of desperate to hear from Shane. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Chris. I'm the co-founder of UK Homes Network, which is a social media platform exclusively for the property industry. So after this webinar, if you guys want to pop over onto UK Homes Network, drop a quick post to introduce yourself and network with some of the other members in the audience, that'd be great. It's a space where you can promote your business for free, talk about what's happening within the industry, and ask for recommendations and advice. It's available to download as an app, or you can use it as a web-based platform. And every week we'll be doing exciting webinars like this one with Shane. Next up, we've got Anthony Kaminsky of Bridge Insurance talking about latent defects. That's on the 25th. We've also got Ben Tibbets of BTS. He's going to be talking about utilities on site. And we've also got Scott Williams of Property Developers Show, who's going to be talking about how to assemble a power team on site. So making sure you've got the right service providers around you. Now, we're really excited for this webinar because I'm joined by Shane Traynor. If you've ever done any sort of networking across the West Midlands, there's a good chance you will have bumped into Shane at some point because he is an award-winning networker. And he also represents an award-winning company who's just recently won an award. Coarch is a fantastic brand within the West Midlands and the wider UK. I'm not going to steal all his thunder. I am going to hand over to Shane in a second. But this is a long overdue webinar for myself and Shane, as we've been quite keen to work together on this for quite a while now. So I'm really glad you could all join us. And Shane, how are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for asking. I can see a few people have tuned in. Someone tuned in from sunny Solihull, which is down the road from me, stone's throw.
Sure, neck of the woods.
I'm very well indeed. Yeah, very good. Thank you.
Good stuff. So Shane, could you give a bit of background to who you are? Just give a quick introduction to yourself. I know you've got some slides that you're keen to share with the audience. So if you want to dive into that.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, thanks for the introduction. Very kind. So yeah, my name's Shane Traynor, and I am the co-owner and co-director of Coarch. Now, first and foremost, I must say that I am not an architect. Shock horror. So my co-director is the architect, and we have a team of architects. We have a total team of 6, and you can see some of the team working very hard behind me there. One of them's on a site survey at the moment on a movie studios in Nottingham, which is an exciting project coming up. And I've been at Coarch for just over 2 years now, but been a director since November 2023. So we are ARB, so Architectural Registration Board, which is important and part of the Royal Institute of British Architects. So this is my co-director, who isn't with us because he's busy on site today. So he's got a property development background, which does give us a bit of a slight edge when we're looking at certain projects, because he can put his property developer cap on. And similar to myself, because I used to work for a property developer in South Birmingham called New Home Company, and look at things from a financial point of view, just to say, well, there's no point in us taking on this project if it's financially unviable, because that would be unethical to us. So we do have that cap that we can put on as well. So Ashley is the co-founder of the founder of the company, and he started it in 2019. And he's been an architect for a long time and studied across like London, and he's from Kent, and he does his own developments with his dad. He's done 7 apartments, which are currently on the market. So yeah, this is myself. Worked for luxury home builder New Home Company, which was doing site finding, development appraisals, investor relations, just building the brand of New Home Company. I run my own networking event, which UK Homes Network is a partner of as well. So Chris comes every month and he introduces himself. And it's a networking event dedicated for property development only. So we won't talk about buy-to-lets or HMOs, but we do welcome people that have buy-to-lets and HMOs, or even people that have never done anything in property but are just interested in property. But it is property development focused subjects. So that is every month. We are actually celebrating our 3rd year anniversary this month, which is crazy. I can't believe how fast that's gone. I run a few other events. Harry's Club, which is actually a free event to come to in Solihull for investors and professionals. That's once a quarter. Social Playground, which is a fun one at gaming events around Birmingham. And we've just launched a build company as well, which I'm not going to go too much into detail because we've just only launched it. This is the wonderful team that we have. So Abel's our office manager. We've got Kavi, Rafai, and Pfizer. They're our team working behind us. And yeah, let's get stuck straight into Class MA prior approval. So before we begin, has anyone got any questions? I can't see the question thing, but has anyone got any questions? Chris, are you able to read them out? You all good?
Yeah. Lot of introductions. I've met Ash, and big respect to Ash and Shane for the orange and white tuxedo combo. I'm guessing that was from your awards.
Oh yeah, if anyone's seen the film Dumb and Dumber, where they wear the orange and blue suit, it's not far off that. So just image that, but with mine and Ashley's face. Cool. So Class MA, what is Class MA? So in a nutshell, it's to convert a commercial building under a prior approval, which is a form of permitted development. So one thing that people get confused is permitted development and prior approval. So they are actually two separate things, but they come close to each other. So to give you a good scenario, that a 3 meter extension on a house is permitted development, and you can pretty much start that straight away. You don't really have to notify the council. But with a prior approval, it is a permitted development, but you need to notify the council, and it does need more of a submission. So it's almost like you are submitting a full planning application, but without multiple surveys, or it's not the full application, and it's quicker to do because it's 56 days upon the application being received and validated by the council. And then you can crack on after that 56 days if the council have got nothing further to say, essentially. So this got released in 2021, not long obviously after COVID, and it is to get things moving and things building again, and to convert, obviously, with the whole COVID and wiping out some of the commercial space, if you like. It was to get these buildings back into use and to get homes for people. This actually got updated on the 5th of March 2024, which I'm going to go on to what were the updates, which are very key and actually are very good for us investors and developers. And just for a bit of fact, if you ever have a pub quiz, it probably won't come up, but it stands for mercantile to abode, which I believe is Latin. Pointless fact, but there you go. And the key details for the changes in 2024. So unlimited floor space. So this was actually capped under 1,500 square meters, and they've actually abolished this now. So this is why I put a picture of the Gherkin in London, because in theory you could convert that, because I think that is it. When I looked, it is a mixed use, but there is parts of Class E in there. So unlimited floor space now, and also there's no vacancy requirement. So again, before you would need to have the building vacant for 3 months to almost like a viability assessment on the commercial, to say that it's no longer worth it being in commercial use. But they've abolished that now, so no floor space cap and no vacancy requirement. So this is such major changes. So now it makes things quicker, faster, and easier to do. So I've actually put together a checklist. So I'm going to leave this on the screen for a minute or so. So if you scan this, I've put together a comprehensive checklist that you can download. So when you're looking at these types of deals, you can go and find out what you need to be looking at and also be mindful of as well. So I am going to share what this checklist, leave that on for 10 or so more seconds. And Chris, if anyone does have any questions, just let me know as we go.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on the chat. So guys, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to put them in the chat, and we'll head those off as soon as they come in.
Cool. So this will come back at the end as well, guys. So don't worry if you miss it. So this is what the checklist is. So we've put this together, and just to tell you exactly what Class MA is, the key details for what happened in March 2024 this year, the eligibilities in certain areas. So there is obviously restrictions. So just to list them off for you guys, there's area of outstanding natural beauties, national parks, sites of special scientific interests, listed buildings, and a big one of that is we've got a site at the moment where there's a listed building, and to the rear, right at the back of the site, a good few, probably about 20 meters away, there's another, probably actually further than that, there's another building that the client potentially wants to do a Class MA on. But now we looked at it, and actually, because it's within its curtilage of the listed building at the front, Class MA wouldn't be acceptable. That's something to bear in mind as well. So conservation area, people say some people that I've heard, you say you can't get Class MA in a conservation area, which that is untrue. You can, but you'll have to get a heritage impact assessment. This is if you're converting the ground floor. So that is absolutely very much needed. So you can do Class MA in conservation areas. So just some of the things to be wary of for Class MA to the approval process. So it is assessed on a couple of different factors. So your transport and highway impacts. Now, just to bear in mind, councils don't always ask for this stuff, but they can ask for this stuff. Contamination and flood risk. So flood risk is a big one. So if you are converting the ground floor, is it in a flood risk zone? One of the projects I'm going to show you was in a flood risk zone, so we had to have a flood risk assessment. Noise impact assessment as well. Again, another big one, because if you're keeping the commercial element on the ground floor and just converting the top floor, let's say, then there's going to be some noise impact there for the people that are staying above in the flats. So noise from commercial units affecting new residents. Adequate natural light. This is a big one. Obviously, habitable rooms. So habitable rooms like bedrooms, living room. Impact on the local area. So if it's existing use in a nursery or health centre, this will be just taken into account to say, well, if it's a health centre, is it definitely not needed as a health centre? Because every town and place needs these things, like a nursery or a health centre. And then for buildings over 18 metres high, more than 7 stories, with what happened with Grenfell, a fire safety report is mandatory, of course. So it's just this checklist, guys. Obviously, if you are actively looking for these deals, when you look at this, you'll be able to come fluent in what Class MA is essentially, and some of the constraints, and be able to talk to vendors and agents and be the expert in it as well. So here is a bit of a checklist. So we use Searchland to check some of these eligibilities and criteria, and to check if it's in certain areas like conservation area or flood zones. But you can find all this data is publicly available. Like you can see maps of conservation areas on council websites. If you just search like Birmingham City Conservation Area, let's say, and there should be maps. Now, although the maps aren't massively great on some councils, you can find them. But if you've got a platform, it's even better because it'll be quicker. So just things that under Class E, so that's what you're looking for, and things like offices, shops, gyms, cafes, restaurants, things like casinos and bars, that will most likely fall under sui generis. So you just need to double check that one, which isn't eligible for Class MA. Building has been in qualifying use for at least 2 years prior to the application date, so it would have had to be in commercial use and not something else. So couldn't be children's care home, then to Class E within the year, then to residential. It had to be in that Class E for that 2 years. There's a list of your restrictions, the requirements for the planning applications, and then some of the impact assessments that you'll potentially need as well, which have gone in the top. So your compliance to get these through is to ensure it is validated by the local authority. Now, although we say 56 days, you might be looking at a longer time, because in Birmingham, just to use this as an example again, and right now in Birmingham, we're dealing with applications that are taking up to 8 weeks to get validated. Now, it's recently, about a year ago, it was about 2 weeks to get validated. And what Birmingham Council have said when we spoke to the heads of planning, that they want to get that down to 2 days. So they want to get it to 2 days. It's 8 weeks. So once it's been validated, then your 56 days start. So if you are getting out loans and things like that from private investors or bridges or anything like that, just keep that in mind. That's super crucial, because it's going to add to the time on this. So yeah, the documentation you need. Go on, did you say something, Chris?
Yeah, sorry, we're getting questions coming in. So I thought I'd just jump in real quick. You might want to take this offline with Paul. So Paul's written in, how often are you seeing a request for extensions on the 56 days consideration period? He said, by the way, the checklist is very helpful.
No, yeah, cheers for that, Paul. So we haven't actually been requested an extension on the Class MAs we've been dealing with yet, which is good. So we haven't seen that yet, but we've heard of I couldn't name a council, but we've heard of councils asking for extensions, and they can. We've had extensions on full planning apps because they have the power to do so, but not on prior approval. We've been quite lucky in that regard. But yeah, no, thanks for that.
Great. And we've got more from
Cool.
Louise, which is quite poignant. Often shops on the high streets have difficulty getting approval for conversion. Is it due to this restriction? I don't see where it would fit here and the reason why they would not have been approved.
So I'm going to show you a list of the reasons for refusals and how you can overcome them. So on one of the next slides, which should hopefully answer the question. So case studies. So I'll answer your question just after these case studies. So we've got one in Newton Abbot, one in Exeter, and then more local to where I am, we've got one in Birmingham as well. This is Queen Street, so commercial to apartments. So this is one Ashley actually worked on before, well, just as I joined, actually, a couple of months after I joined. So as you can see, this is what our mapping software does. The boundary, just the corner, little corner is the boundary of a flood zone 2, which meant we had to have a flood risk report on this one. Now, there was other, as you can see, there's other commercial buildings across the road. Some of them had been converted already and had flood risk reports done. So what we did to help save the client money, because it's the same jargon and you can mitigate flood risk in the same way, same measures, we just went on to ChatGPT, used the flood risk report that we found, and it was we found multiple flood risk reports from different consultants, and they all said the same thing. It was a copy and paste exercise. So we just did the same thing to save the client paying for a flood risk report, just to get it in, and that seemed to have gone through, which was fine. So actually, back when we had this project, the client had to deal with the 3-month vacancy, because this was before March this year. And the ground floor occupied by office tenants, but the first floor were good. So that's what we wanted to do. So the opportunities of this was to show that it was currently Class E, which is great. Multiple entrances, which for access for different apartments. Enough windows for natural light. Big tick box. There's 2 separate buildings, as you can see here. One at the front, one to the rear. And they've got their own utility supplies. So anyone that knows utilities, working with the developer that I used to work for, utilities was one of the hardest things that he ever had to deal with, because he had a site in the green belt. But just utilities in general, if anyone's ever dealt with them, well, I've got a gas meter in my living room and it's an absolute nightmare to deal with just to get out the front, and it's super expensive. So yeah, absolute nightmare. So I'll just leave this on the screen for a short moment just so you can glance at what you're looking at here. So you've got your offices, got rear access via Oak Place here, and then you've got this commercial element here at the front. So this is your row of shops here at the front here. And then what Ashley did was design the 2 apartments. It's almost like it was one of the apartments was like a duplex apartment, if you like, with a sort of spiral staircase. So we got that through. So I'll just show you before and after again. Before and then after. So because you can see here, we kept the kitchenette where it is. So just on the left. But yeah, quite spacious. And yeah, I've got that through pretty easily. And leave that on. So before, after, cool. And I'm happy to share these slides as well if anyone wants them. And Chris, you can fire them out somehow. So yeah, we like numbers, right? So the client was happy for us to share the numbers on this one. So the offer subject to prior approval was £190,000. The value with planning, so the client did a bit of a planning uplift on this, so £250,000. The costs for the works was 120 fees, 15,000 professional fees, and his finance cost was £30,000. The GDV on this was 455. Ground office 110, and then you've got the 145 for the first floor 2-bed and 2-bed detached, and then the profit on this was 100. So what our client does is he'll agree a subject to planning, but because he knows what to look for from the checklist, if you like. He knows he's going to get the planning, so he'll offer a very good price on the current value of the commercial. So it's a great way of getting that uplift, if you like. Ashley's just walked in the office, by the way, everyone.
Everyone give him a wave.
Everyone's waving at you, even though I can't see them. Just so he is a real person. Anybody? Hartwell House. Yes, this is commercial to 2 masonettes and 1 apartment in Exeter. So as you can see, this one is right by the beach. So this is the beach here, and this is in flood zone 1, 2, and 3. But Exeter have measures in place anyway across this whole seafront. We still have to have the flood risk report, but they have like protected from flooding measures in place anyway. But you just still have to have the flood risk report for the council satisfaction. Close proximity to listed buildings, but not in any curtilage, so we're all good on there. But it's always good to see what is around. So yeah, again, opportunities. This was great because this fell under the new rules, so didn't have to wait for the 3 months vacation. Current tenant agreed the subject to planning offer again, so this is his bag. And actually, the client has these projects. We're doing 2 more with him now that aren't shown here today. So it's just a copy and paste for him. And he's got so many deals. He's actually struggling to finance them because this is how easy this can be once you know what to do and you can find them, especially in some of these seaside towns as well. So subject to planning offer. And again, he got some good resale values as a residential area. He's built up some good relationships with local agents that will go in when he gets this subject to planning offer and give him a good GDV, so he can sort of pull out before the deal is agreed at the subject to planning if the GDVs aren't quite there compared to the build and the finance costs. So we've got ground, first and second floor. So this is the second floor is a bit of like a loft space, if you will. Let you have a gander at that. And then go to the next slide. So again, Ashley's magic on this one. Ground, first and second. So unit 2 is this one, unit 3. And then you go all the way up the stairs. Don't know what the size of this one was. Do you know what the size of Hartwell House was? The top floor one, roughly. It's good size, right? It's off your head. 55 square meters. Yeah. Okay, cool. So hot off the press, we put on an application in yesterday for this project to put a dormer in to make it 70 square meters. So yeah, hot off the press. Finance one for this offer subject to prior approval again. So we valued it at the current use class of a commercial, 280, and the value we're planning 340, reserved on that price. So the input money from developer, he put in, developer investor 59. Got some loan costs here. So he bridged this one for planning uplift 221. Let's say borrow. Should say borrow. My bad. Yeah, so 100% conversion build cost 210 total, and then the finance cost of that is £50,000. So the GDV is 680. So yeah, decent chunky bit of profit there. And the client Ash, he's in and out with these projects within 6 months build wise. Roughly 4 months, 4 months, even better. Again, because he's got a build team and he's built it over the course of a couple of years. So he's in and out very quickly. And this is a more recent one that we picked up. This is in Digbeth in Birmingham, for anyone that knows Digbeth, which is very much up and coming at the moment. Still got a long way to go, but yeah, sort of like trying to think of the London equivalent. It'll come to me. So this is 5 yeah, a bit like that. Yeah, that's spot on. Because they're getting a box park, actually. Plans are just being approved for a box park in Digbeth, which is cool. So yeah, commercial to 5 studio apartments. So our client has purchased this ground floor, not the whole building. So this is currently residential, and this was a Chinese supermarket. So I mean, if you just look at the natural light in here, like it goes all the way around. If I can zoom in, I can't, but all the way around. So very nice use of natural light. So he originally bought it because he wanted to move his accountancy office in here slash make it co-working, and then he was trying to lease it out to other commercial entities, if you like, but then he didn't really get much traction. He was like, you know what, I'm just going to convert it into apartments now, and because it is very much up and coming. So Birmingham is an Article 4 area. So if you don't know what an Article 4 area, well, in Birmingham in particular, in this Article 4 area, it basically stops you from doing permit development for HMOs, so C3 to C4. But because we're not doing a HMO here, it doesn't matter. But the only constraints that you could see is close proximity to listed building. Again, not in the curtilage, so great. So this one pretty good, pretty plain and simple. So classy, lots of entrances, loads of natural light, big spacious ground floor, and it's got its own utility supplies as well. So yeah, here's the ground floor. Let you have a gaze at this. So yeah, here's your entrances here, and it's weird here because as you walk into this entrance, there's like this big like hole in the floor, square cut hole, basement with no stairs leading to nowhere. Very creepy. So I don't know what was used for that. And then there's a kitchenette and sort of toilet area here as well. These are columns that are not going to be moved, so we've had to work with these. And here's a fire exit as well. And this is yeah.
Can I ask you a quick question just based on that existing thing? Do you prefer to have a blank canvas that you're working with, or do you prefer, if for example, if there's a kitchenette or a bathroom already in situ in certain positions, do you
Yeah.
find that easier to work with, or what's your...
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I was going to say it's not a straightforward answer because like it might be better to move those to a certain area, but I would say so. I would always say if you're doing like multiple floors, let's say, it would make more sense to keep them if you can because of like the drainage and the soil. So it's all going one. Otherwise, it's going to cost more and take more time for it to all be rerouted. So if you can work within it, then great. But sometimes it might make more sense to have to move them. Let's say, for instance, if you had to have the bedroom had to be there because that's where the window was. Let's say, but then you could put the bathroom somewhere where there wasn't a window. Let's say so. It depends on it, but on what the floor plan layout is. But if you can keep it where you've got multiple floors and the soil pipes and drainage can be on top of each other, then it makes life a lot easier, especially for the build as well.
Right.
Does that
So
answer your question? Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I guess it's more you more look at it from a cost perspective. If it's a cost to move that stack from one side of the room to the other, it's got to have a positive impact on the overall value of what that property is going to be by doing that. So are you
Yeah,
more room in the living space or in the bedroom, which is going to be make it more of an attractive prospect for a buyer?
exactly. So it's a cost perspective, but let's say if just for argument's sake, in this kitchen area, it had a window which needed to be used for a bedroom for habitable light, then or like a living, then you might have to change it around. So
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, you're spot on. So yeah, this is the five studios. So studio one is here, two, three. So again, this studio three is going to have some nice features in it with these like columns, and again, lovely. My favorite, even though it's like small, so the smaller one is this one because I love this corner window. Very nice natural light. Then you got your storerooms, your plants here. So, and then got Studio 4 and Studio 5, which is quite big, and they've got their own entrance and exit here as well. So just leave that on for a few, just because. Well, feel free to anyone to take images, but we will fire this over as well for sure. So yeah, we got the approval, no problems. Just had to just double check with the the company that owns the rest of the building to make sure they were happy with it and there were no qualms there and they were good. Had to check with some like fire regulation and the fire officer, and it was all good because it was just like the ground floor. Okay, so we've actually done some local research. So we can do this for obviously anywhere, but I actually presented something like a similar presentation in Birmingham, and I thought it would be good to show some research on Class MAs and what had been approved. So just in Birmingham, I appreciate people that are not in Birmingham, but if you want to know the stats, I can get them for you. So the filters that I used here was data received after July 2021, residential applications only. The proposal contains a change of use, and it also contains prior approval. So you can see there's a 55.29% approval rate. Why? Why is that? Like, why is it kind of like, I think that's quite low if it's permitted development, right? It's because people get things wrong. And the question about the 56 days, so the average decision time, so this is where the extension has come in here. So people, obviously, the council has actually asked for extensions on these applications that the gentleman asked earlier. So this is, who was it that asked the question? Sorry, was it Louise? I got that right? Got that name right? Yeah. Cool. So
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
So sorry, cool. So yeah, this is I looked at 10 random applications, and out of all the refusals, these 5 kept popping up in these 10 applications. Not all of them would pop up in the one, but throughout the 10, if you like. So the reasons for refusal was the scheme would not provide adequate natural light to the habitable rooms. So that shows that it wasn't designed correctly, or it wasn't thought out about bedrooms with natural light. So I'm just going to show you something, because I just want people to make people aware of this. So you could argue, look, this bedroom here doesn't have a window, but because the light is adequate enough into this opening, so there's no door here because it's a studio. It's like just an opening. So that's how that was allowed, just as an FYI on that one. Cool. So yeah, the adequate light is absolutely key. Proposed flats would fail to comply with the national space standards. So found loads of these. So you can go onto Google and type in UK national space standards minimum, and it's 37 square meters for a studio, the minimum. So it's got to adhere to at least that. And we've seen some of these that are being designed into the size of like HMO rooms. So that's why they were being refused. The applicant has not provided scaled plans which demonstrate compliance. So this is when, like, maybe Mr. and Mrs. Smith have a commercial building that they've had for donkey's years. They want to get out, they want to get planning uplifting it, and they'll just lodge the application themselves with no plans. It'll just get refusal, and you would have wasted the council's time and your own. So insufficient information has been provided to demonstrate the building has been vacant for the 3 months. And the reason I've highlighted that in red is because that is no longer a thing. Now, what this provides to everyone listening here today is an opportunity to go and find some of these applications that have been refused, because now you can do it without demonstrating. So all these points can be turned around to a degree. Now, it depends on the building. So some buildings might not, some commercial buildings on a high street might not be viable because they just won't have adequate natural light, and the build cost would outweigh to get that inserted, if you like. So not all of them, not every commercial building is viable from even a Class MA point of view, but you can go and search for these applications on all the council portals and see which ones are being refused and recontact them and assess the building and say, well, actually, I can turn this around for you, especially point 4. Some people are, oh, I got refused, and they don't understand, whereas it actually can be done now. And then again, what I mentioned at the beginning was the impact assessment. There was no impact assessment or sound insulation assessment, which needed to be submitted. So those were the top 5 refusals. I hope that answered your question, Louise, on that one. And yeah, checklist again. So if you haven't scanned already, I'm going to leave this on the screen for a few seconds.
Great. And while
Cool.
people are scanning that, Louise has asked a really interesting question. I know you love answering this one. Which portal would you check on, please, for refused planning applications?
Which portal? So yeah, so in terms of like software, so I think there might be 2 answers here. So software, so we use Searchland, and it will actually like show you all the planning applications on a title, and you can just see reviews. So like, in fact, how long we got, Chris?
Go for it, mate. Yeah.
All right. Well, what I'll do is I'm going to do a live demonstration of trying to find some Class MAs buildings and see if we can find some reviews. Does that sound good?
Yeah. While you do that, I'm just going to type up my invoice to Searchland.
Oh yeah, indoors.
Yeah. Yeah, go for it, mate. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll do that shortly. But if you don't have access to these sorts of platforms, you can just go onto like Birmingham Council's website, and unfortunately, it's going to be a bit of a tedious task. You can search by not Birmingham, whatever council you're in, and you can go to their planning portal and then planning applications and search through applications. Uh, like by decision dates, you can search through days, and then like residential applications. You might just have to trawl through a load. That's why these platforms are better, because you can add filters and search for it quite quickly. But you can do it just via not paying for a software, but it just takes a bit longer. Those are the two ways that I'd be able to find them. Oh, so yeah, sorry. That's actually the end of my presentation, unfortunately. But I can show you the search land. Has anyone got any questions before I move on?
Yeah, so we'll give it a couple of minutes for people to get their questions in. Jason's asked a really made a really interesting comment. And obviously, if you want to do the live demonstration, that would be great, Shane. Just to
Yeah.
say as well, if you do come along to the developers network in Birmingham, but Shane also offers a discount code for Searchland when you're in the room. So if it's something you are interested in, make sure that you do attend the developers network. So yeah, Jason said, "Hi Chris, met you at the property developer show in Manchester. Also for finance and lending purposes, professional consultant certificate or structural warranty applications may be required alongside the building control function. Be aware that the new building safety regulator will be required for HRB, high-rise buildings, and their
Mm,
approvals have a big backlog at present."
mm.
So it's quite an
Was
interesting point there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I guess it's if you are doing a high, commercial conversion high rises, it goes back to that fire reg one. Um, but yeah, regs are changing consistently all the time, and especially on the fire side. We haven't dealt with any on any class MAs that's required that at the moment. But yeah, it's something definitely to point out, and one thing that when people are assessing high rise buildings from a development point of view, yeah, just something to bear in mind, and it costs a lot of money as well, in consultancy fees massively. Yeah,
Right. Uh,
cool.
Mukesh has just asked if I can ask a question.
Sure.
Mukesh, I'm just going to quickly try and find it for you. Yeah, great. I found it. Apologies, Mukesh. I didn't see that one in the chat. Is stacking a consideration in planning if you were converting a building with multiple floors, as in bathrooms above bathrooms and bedrooms above bedrooms?
Is this in terms of like drainage, or just in what in what's well, yeah, like in terms of stacking, in terms of like drainage, absolutely. I guess if the building envelope is the same all the way around, it makes sense just to copy paste. Yeah.
Yeah, so less from a planning perspective, more from just a cost-effective approach to converting
Yeah.
a building.
Yeah, because if I guess if you know roughly, just from speaking to developers, if you know roughly, let's say for instance, if like let's just say it's two floors and the ground floor is going to be the same as the second floor, if you know the cost of the first floor, it's just going to be double that
Yeah.
effectively, ish.
And as a
Okay.
developer, you don't want to be putting multiple stacks in to be, you know, drainage stacks for bathrooms that are at different
Mm.
points of the,
It just
different.
makes it more difficult.
Yeah,
But just not so much difficult, because plumbers can do that, right? But it's just going to cost like more in materials and labor.
great. I'll let you
So
crack on with the search
sure.
land. We have got a couple more questions, but we'll do those after.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So just gonna find some like refusals just to show you what they look like. So this is Searchland. and this is what we get to see. So I'm going to click on Class MA because it basically has its own sourcing tool as well, which is pretty good. So I'm just going to zoom out here. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to right. Someone give me a council, a local authority, and the first one that comes up, Chris.
Yeah. I feel like I should be doing the drum roll. Right, Louise is straight in there with Warwickshire.
Okay, Warwickshire. Oh, which one? North or just Warwickshire? Let's go
I'm
for
from North
the
Warwickshire,
council.
so go North Warwickshire. Yeah.
Let's go with North Warwickshire then. And then, so it's found 11 opportunities. So let's go and browse these, see what they look like.
Sorry,
So,
you did say Warwick, but I've gone straight in there with my home county. So
okay. All right, let's see what it's found. So it's found these plots here. So it's, for some reason it's brought up a car park, which is quite interesting. Now, okay, this is in Atherstone. Let's have a look.
that's
I'm gonna go
Aldi.
click link. It is, isn't it? Yeah, I know. I used to go to Atherstone quite a lot.
Oh, did you? It's my hometown.
Is it?
Yeah.
Merivale View. It's where where my grandparents live.
I've sold a few houses down there.
Nice. Small world.
Yeah, yeah.
Small world. So it's something like this. Okay, so what's this?
This is an old gym.
Yeah. And there's a nightclub on this road, isn't there? Somewhere.
Yeah, the Super Duper Club we used to call it because it
You
was
know
so
it's
bad.
it's shit if it's called the Super.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Has this got any planning on it? Let's have a quick look. So, this is so it's got like planning constraints. So let's have a look. So, okay, well, first and foremost, in this particular area. So I guess in like the parts of Warwick and Warwickshire, there's there'll be lots of listed buildings. Um, Conservation area, yeah. Oh, so this is just outside. Well, we're looking at the cuff. So if you convert the ground floor, it'd be one of those things where it'd be worth checking with the council to see if you actually need a heritage impact assessment here.
What I'd say
Um,
the Long Street and North Street, so all that area, it's probably best if we go with Louise's recommendation of Warwick because the whole of
mm,
Aviston High Street is in a conservation area.
let's go that then. Warwick. There we go. Let's go now. That search. Ah, we found 64 opportunities.
Right.
Better than Atherstone.
Anything's better than that.
Okay, cool. So what we got? Let's go and have a little look scout, shall we? Yeah, so there's loads of opportunities here. Let's have a look. See if they've got tells you the potential GDV as well, which I wouldn't always believe. I do my own research on that. Let's go and have a look at. I want to look at the planning on it. See what's got planning applications. Okay, notification for prior approval, change of use. What is it for? This is 2018, so it wouldn't be a class of A2 to C3. So actually, this is the old one. So it used to be Class A, so to C3. So this was before the Class MA came out. So that's an interesting one, and that's already been converted. Let's go and find another one. Planning. No, not on that one. But you can get an idea, right, of like these can be very easy to find once you know once what you're looking for, and there's so many opportunities to find these. And I can't really find one that's got planning on it that's been refused. But planning applications, have a look. What's this? 2 workshops, U Class C demolition, so that's just that. But yeah, I think you get the idea of. Hopefully you get the idea of what you're looking for, and obviously on the refused planning, Louise, it's just got to make sure you're refusing those 4 things. Obviously, the 3-month vacancy thing's gone now, so if you can make sure that those 4 bits definitely get checked, and just looking at like planning constraints. So let's have a look at planning constraints in.
Shane,
It's something
On the
that, yes,
left-hand side, mate, if you click where it says sourcing underneath, you've got planning applications. You should be able to search by, so even further left.
on here.
Yeah, you should be able to search via planning application as opposed to.
So let me find. Right. So what I want to do is change that. Right, 20. Let's do, yeah, 2021. Let's do September 2021. After that, right. What were my? Let me see if I can find my filters. So the filters. So I want to get the same, and then we can actually find some ones to turn around. There we go. So use after July. We've done September. That's fine. Residential applications only. Proposal contains change of use and prior approval. Proposal contains change of use. Resident applications only. Let's filter. Proposal. Prior. Approval. See what we got here. Is rejected. What we got here. Fire approval change of use, first and second floor from Class E to C3 to create 3 self-contained flats under Class MA. Perfect. So the appeal window is currently open. Let's have a look at the document, shall we? See what they've been refused for. Parking might be a factor as well on some of the things. Failed to demonstrate development will not give rise to highway safety. So there's actually another one. So interestingly, out of the 10 applications that I looked at in Birmingham, they didn't have this. So you could even factor in this. But it would be good when you look for some of these refused applications is to look on why it was refused. And if you are able to speak, so on this, I would just go and have a chat with a transport consultant and just show them this, go, what are your thoughts? Like we've got people that we can just run things past just to get their thoughts rather than going and submitting something and then it definitely not being passed planning. So it looks like impacts from the commercial. So just those 2 points on that one. Let's have a look. Let's see what else Warwick is saying of any refused. Withdrawn. So when people withdrawn stuff, because they normally get told they're going to be refused. So let's have a look why it's withdrawn, or if what was put in here. For conservation, this was clearly in the conservation. They had no objection, which is good. Doesn't say. The heritage statement says. See, what's great, it's all this is publicly available. It's just a matter of sifting through it. So I'm guessing you know where this is.
Where's this? Sorry,
Somewhere in Warwick.
Swan Street. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone recognise that building?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, because this was drawn, there's no. The thing is, when you get something rejected at planning, that's when the council will tell you why, rather than when it's withdrawn. There's no reason for it, so it's a bit more difficult to look. But you could always go and reach out to the owner and say, "What was your reason for withdrawing the application, and can we look at putting it in again?" It's about finding these. So let's go and have a look at one more. What else we can find? Is anything else? I've got a class Q here, barn conversion. Interesting. Okay, because yeah, class Q is also prior approval. All right, so this looks like just from in where we are in Warwick here, there's only been a handful. So would you want to see one that's been approved?
Yeah,
What's
do
this
that.
one?
And then
Agriculture. Yeah.
we've got a couple more questions.
All right.
Great.
Okay. Decision. This is 8 single dwelling apartments, which is nice. Let's have a look what this. Sometimes they can move some of the reports to do for pre-commencement, so they'll approve it and then subject to getting the pre-commencement done so before any works are carried out as well. So this one they need a site investigation scheme, detailed risk assessment, which is just like really standard stuff. Yeah, that's just the only one they need. Still liability as well, just to make sure there's a still form. Yeah, so that seems like a really straightforward one. Let's have a look at the plans. We can find the plan. Go. That's just a location plan. Size alone. Right, we got there. Nice. It's quite a chunky building. See what we've done. So existing here. So we've put that. Okay. Yeah. So okay, this looks like it's got a lot of windows all around. So the perfect building. TGI Fridays. There's a few of them that are closing now. So some potentials there.
Do you get to
Although
keep all the
that's food. Well, I actually no word of a lie. This morning, I emailed TGI Fridays Hagley Road to see if they'd sell me their Ford Crown Victoria, the New York cab sitting out the front.
Why does that not surprise me? Why can I see you driving around Birmingham in a yellow cab?
Hopefully they'll sell it to me. I don't know.
Handbrake turn into Edgbaston Golf Course
Yeah,
as you turn up for the developers network.
yeah. Too right. This one's
Shane,
a studio. Yeah, go for it.
just going to jump in. Sonny has asked, how is the proposed rules around leaseholds going to impact conversions with the titles with title split potential?
I don't know. Is the long and short that answer? Yeah.
Not a problem. Well, Sonny, if you want to post that in the UK Homes Network, Shane can come back to you at some stage.
Yeah,
Maybe.
without having to think about it, I can
Yeah.
come back to you on it if you want to at me in the app for sure, or email me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, great opportunity there. Just let's quickly see if we can see the elevation plans because I just want to see what this building actually looks like. Quite interesting. And then that's been wrapped up. Yeah, nice. Cool. So that pretty much wraps up Class MA.
Amazing. I was just going to mention as well, I was lucky enough to go and see one of our UK Homes Network members speak months ago. For guys that know Property Martin,
Oh
um,
yeah.
his wife do commercial conversions, and one of the things that because basically for guys that don't know me, before I set up UK Homes Network, I used to do a lot of marketing for property companies, that kind of thing, and I spent probably about 2 years writing blogs on Class MA. And it's amazing the stuff that you don't find out or that you suddenly find out from speaking to people and networking like Shane. And that is that Property Martin basically with his wife did a development up in the Lake District, and they were going to use Class MA to convert an old farmhouse and shop. But it was refused under the fact that it was the only shop within a mile radius for that local community.
Mm.
And if you're doing something a bit more rural, just be aware that obviously if there's not that many local amenities around and you do want to convert a commercial premises into residential, then that might be something that you guys need to consider.
Spot on. So on that note, they actually have to put it on the market to rent for 12 months to prove that it's not viable for a commercial use anymore, and then they can go and do it. So I think it's when I last spoke to mine on that project, it's been on the market for around 9 months now. and no one's
Right.
taking it. Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
So there's always ways around it.
definitely. It's just sometimes it might take a little bit of time, but definitely worth reaching out to like someone like us, architects or planning consultants, on these sorts of questions before you commit to buying anything. Yeah,
Right. All right, and
yeah, for
guys.
sure.
Well, we're gonna get the recording and the slides out to you in UK Homes Network. I want to thank everyone that stayed on till the end. We've managed to keep you all entertained throughout. So yeah, thank you very, very much. Um, Shane, if people want to reach out to you and contact you, how can they do it?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very proactive on there. It's just Shane Traynor. And what I'll do is, if you give me a second, I'm going to put my link in there now. Yeah, go and follow the Color Arch socials. That'd be much appreciated. We're trying to grow our followers at the moment. Everyone knows to struggle to grow the socials. You know what I nearly did then? I nearly copy and paste my LinkedIn feed to the group. Yeah, and then if you want to email me anything, then it's Shane. So I'll just put it in the group notes. Shane at co-arch.co.uk. So I'll put that as my LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram as well. Co-arch is on Instagram. Go and give Ashley a follow. He's Ashley the Architect on Instagram as well. Shane at co-arch.co.uk. Cool. And then yeah, if anyone wants to have a call and they've got like a commercial building they're potentially looking at and they're seriously potentially looking at, like I don't mind spending a bit of time and we can run, I can show them like search land and we can just have a little look from a desktop point of view just to get some thoughts and they can have a look at constraints. And I'll always say, like, if anyone's serious about buying a commercial building and they want to chat to us, I will actually go onto Searchland and look at all the constraints and send them a report. Like, and even if they want to use someone else, that's fine, because I'd rather them do it correctly and not trip up and lose money. Then yeah, it's nothing worse than buying something and you're not being able to do something. So happy to do that as well if anyone wants that.
Right. All right, and guys, yeah. So if you want to download the app, I've just put the link in the chat. It's free to sign up, become a member of UK Homes Network. Obviously Shane is quite active in UK Homes Network, so if you want to ping him a message through that as well. We'll also be getting the slides out to you this afternoon, so you'll be able to see that. So yeah, if you want to watch the recording back or get the slides, then please do sign up to UK Homes Network. That's all from me. A massive thank you to Shane for joining us. Really, really appreciate it. And we've got another webinar coming up shortly. So if you're in UK Homes Network, you'll see the full list that we've got for October. So please do make sure you tune in for those. All right, guys. Thanks very much. Cheers, Shane.
Brilliant. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Take
Speak
care.
soon.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.